How are we going, guys? I've been on holiday for the last 2 weeks, so unfortunately I couldn't trade, but fortunately my portfolio did not suffer too much. Now, before I went away, I was paying close attention to the way game-winning goals affect the market, and if there was any way we could get some good value and profit from it, even without the help of dividends. Okay, so saying that, when I was away and I couldn't trade, I decided to watch the market closely during the Champions League and Europa League. And I'd done this previously before last season, but this time I really wanted to record the price rises and if there was any patterns that we could spot that would help us get on the players at better value consistently. Now, whether you're just scanning the market for value in general, there's no real players that you have in your mind, but you're just having a look, you've got some money to spend, you want to buy players, and obviously the best way, as I always say, is to buy value. Or you've got a couple of players in mind, there might be a game you're looking to, and you want to get on these players, but the value is not there. Now, is there a way that we can be sure that the value is there? And I think I might have found one. Now, before we start looking at the data that I've recorded, I want to just go through what I mean by value, because value is different to everyone, to be honest. There's so many strategies and ways of trading on Football Index. No one is really right, no one is wrong. There just are a lot of ways of looking at it. But my way of looking at it is, if the player's price is more likely to go up than down, then they are value to me. More short-term than long-term, because that is my style. But if the player's price is more likely to go up short-term than down short-term, then for me, that player's price represents value. So I just wanted to clear that up before I go into the data that I've got, just so we're clear on what I perceive as value, because it might not meet your criteria. So what I did, I recorded all the game-winning goals and the players who got them, their price movement. I recorded all of them from the moment they got the goal, and if they ended up with the game-winning goal, then I recorded till midday the next day. And what I recorded their price when they got the goal, how much they went up, and then if they went down, I recorded that as well to see if there was any value. Now, Messi and Firmino, they obviously won dividends. Firmino, he scored the winning goal, so he got the game-winning goal, but he went on to win media that day anyway. So his price was definitely affected by dividends, as was Messi's. But on the day anyway, Messi, 8p rise leading into the match. I did get some data on that, and a 24p rise from his performance. And there was no drop on Messi the next day before 12 o'clock. I think he actually went up further after 12 o'clock. Firmino dipped on the day because of his eye injury, but he rose 20p when he come off the bench and then scored the winning goal. So in all, I think it was 38p Firmino rose, and then he went on to win media. So them two, their price rises were definitely, affected by the fact that they was going to win dividends. So that's not really what I'm looking at, because what we're looking at, we want to get on value, even if the dividends ain't guaranteed, okay? So the rest of the games that day, we had Bruges versus Dortmund, and we had Pulisic. His rise was 7p, and he had a 1p fall. So what that tells us is if we bought him, we had a 7p rise, he had game-winning goal, and then but the next day before 12 p.m, he only dropped a penny. So there was 6p value. He was undervalued by 6p when we bought him. Monaco versus Madrid, Jimenez, 9p rise, and then a 7p fall before midday. So he was undervalued there. We got him with 2p undervalued. And then into Spurs, Firmino, 7p rise, 5p fall. I apologise for my dodgy Italian accent, but I just remember when he scored the goal and the commentator said it like that. So we've got 6p, 2p, 2p. So if we'd have bought on the game-winning goal, whether we were just looking at players to hold or we're just looking at value players, we would have been in a still decent position before the next day. Right, as we go on to Wednesday, I'd just like to say, if there was two teams who play outside the top 5 teams leagues in Europe, I didn't record it because there's no value there. From my records in the past, game-winning goals don't really affect it unless they're going to go on and win dividends. And really, we want to look for value outside of the players who just win dividends. So I did record Ajax and Athens, but that was just personally because I had players in that match. But if we move on from there, Benfica versus Bayern Lewandowski, 7p rise, 7p drop. So if we are buying to hold, we did obviously have a 7p rise and then a 7p drop back down. If we're buying to hold, there's no real drop there. The value has stayed the same. So we've not made a loss. Kone in the Man City-Lyon game rose 16p after his game-winning goal and then dropped only 2p. So, again, massively undervalued there by 14p. This is very especially effective in the cheap players, because people will see a lot of potential in them. And because they're cheap, they'll all pile in. So a big 16p rise, 2p drop. We got him undervalued at 14p. Real Madrid versus Roma. Isco, 13p rise, 2p drop. Some massive rise for Isco there. I actually did top up on Isco before this game. I thought he was a little bit undervalued anyway, so I've done quite well out of that one. So I potentially got him 11p undervalued. Valencia versus Juventus. Pjanic, 10p rise, 4p drop. Again, Pjanic looks like he's going to take the set pieces when Ronaldo is not on the pitch. I'm not quite sure what's happening with suspension, but that's definitely one to keep an eye on. And I think that helped with the price that he sustained. But 6p undervalued in the end from when you buy him. Young Boys Man United, Pogba, 19p rise, 3p drop. Again, massively helped by the media dividends, which he had been cleaning up on really the days leading to it. But again, if you got on Pogba with that winning goal, you weren't too sure. You've seen him rise through the media buzz, and now if you got on him after the goals, 19p rise, 3p drop, massive 16p undervalued. Well, as we move on to the Europa League, Arsenal versus Volska, Aubameyang 6p rise, ended up with a game-winning goal, dropped 5p before midday the next day. So if you got him Aubameyang, you got him potentially 1p undervalued, which is good. Ludogorets versus Leverkusen, Havertz 7p rise, 0p drop. There's been a lot of media in Germany, I know, a lot of German media going mad about this kid. So that might have helped, with a few scouts on the index. I know there's a lot of scouts who know all these hidden gems. So I'm definitely behind it there. Dunderlange versus Milan, Higuain, 2p rise, 2p drop. Again, nothing gained, nothing lost. If you're buying as a hold, then you're still in the same position. So maybe his price was exactly where it should be. In the Lazio game, Immobile rise 1p and then dropped 2p. So he was maybe overvalued going into that game. Seville versus Liège, Vasquez rise 7p, drop 4p. So you ended up 3p better off. POK versus Chelsea, Willian, 14p rise and an 8p drop. So 6p better off if you bought Willian when he scored the goal. Now, just a few things that we can take away from the data that will help us make the right decisions. The Champions League seems to be a lot more consistent than the Europa League. Europa League has got some big rises there, but it's got some very small rises as well. The Champions League seems to be a lot more consistent. If the player is playing for an English team, it seems like there's going to be a bit more rise, probably because there's more UK eyes on it. So, the majority of traders are from the UK. So there's more UK eyes, which means there's more potential buyers. Just a few extra bonus things we can take away from the data. Champions League seems to be a lot more consistent in the price rises to the Europa League. Europa League, when the price rises are big, they're big. But apart from that, then they're nothing to really write home about. While the Champions League, the price rises are all pretty consistent. Another thing, when the players are playing for the English teams, obviously they've got more eyes on them. Majority of traders from the UK, so it makes sense. So there's more eyes on them, so the price rises seem to be a bit more generous. Okay, now, remember, this is only if you're trying to buy players to hold. Yeah, it's not really meant for flipping, because especially now, unless you're flipping £1 below. This is not really the strategy for that. This is a strategy if you're looking for players who are undervalued, or you just want to get a player at a good price, then this is a good strategy. You know, this is really a buy to hold. You know, that might be to hold for a week. That might be to hold for a couple of days. You know, that might be to hold long term. But this isn't a flipping strategy. It's definitely a buy to hold. And it's just a good way of getting on players, you know, in value. So to end the video there, game-winning goals are great for dividends, but they're also great for potential growth, okay? Because traders, they love a player in form. It gives them market trust, and the player's price is likely to go up rather than go down. And that's what value is all about. So thanks for watching, and I will be back next week, hopefully regularly. Like I say, I just got back from holiday. But yeah, some new strategies coming very soon. If you haven't already, head over to Facebook, Football Index Trading Journal, and get yourself a free copy of our new ebook, 7 Days on Football Index with £100. It's good for a few laughs for existing traders, and it might actually help some newbies as well if they've only got a small budget. Okay, so get yourself over there and grab yourself a free copy.